Gig Gab, episode 483 for Monday, March 26th, World Dracula Day and Memorial Day, 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians here in Durham, New Hampshire. Boy, easy for me to say. Easy for me to say. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton. Our sponsors for this week are two new ones for us. Cash App, where you put Gig Gab in your profile after you sign up. You send someone $5 within 14 days, and you get $10 back. It's a great way to pay for gigs and stuff. So we'll talk about that. And the folks at Rock and Roller, your favorite cart, code GIGGAB20 saves you 20% and saves your back at the same time. We'll talk more about all those in a minute. Of course, today, my guest co-host is none other than our friend Mike Schulte. Mike, thank you so much for coming back.
It's good to be here. I have a bag of frozen peas on my crotch. I'll let you understand why that is happening right now, but it's a good time to be sitting down and just not moving around and spending some time with you, buddy.
You've eliminated a risk from your life. Is the plan here?
Yeah. Very. Like, we had two of the things happen, and that's great.
Right.
But no more.
Yep.
Don't want that to happen ever again.
Yep. There you go. Well, that's a heck of a way to start an episode. As you know, folks, as you now know, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. That's not entirely true. I have some ideas. But I'll randomly start. I saw a great movie recently. I watched the zombies documentary called Hung Up on a Dream. This was really interesting to me because it premiered at South by a year and a little bit ago. I did not get to see it there, but I did get to see the zombies there. And they played it like this big venue, Stubbs or whatever. And they were fantastic. Colin Blumstone, is an absolutely spectacular singer. That voice that you know from the zombies, he still has it despite his years. It's amazing. But what I noticed at the show was how old I felt. As a guy in my early 50s, I felt like everybody around me was in their 20s and maybe 30s. And it was like, why? How do all of you know all of the lyrics to the zombie songs? I only know the lyrics to like 4 of them. Like it was weird. And the movie started the same way. The movie started with YouTube, like clips of YouTube reviews of zombies albums. And it was all people that were half my age. It's like this band's having a moment. It's pretty good.
I wonder if it's a TikTok thing or something, like you get these moments in time, the importance of the internet for bands nowadays. Like you go back to Stranger Things last season when they did the Metallica thing and every teenager in the world all of a sudden was like, who is this band? This is incredible.
Yeah.
And remember the one of my favorite moments of all time in the last 5 years was that skateboarding dude with the cranberry juice during COVID, that viral TikTok where he was listening to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Just like one of the vibiest videos you've ever seen. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, which was released in the 70s. When was Rumors?
Yeah, 40 years ago.
Early?
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe,
all of a sudden
70s probably. Yeah.
It was number 1 on the Billboard charts because of a TikTok video, you guys. Yep. Like it can't be understated the importance of having your music hit the internet like that. It's crazy.
It's true. Yeah. I guess that must be it, right? Like it has to be. Yeah. There was, and I don't want to ruin the movie for everybody, but I highly recommend you watch it. I got home from a gig the other night and stayed up and just watched the whole thing. 2 things I'm going to share. Colin was not meant to be the lead singer. He was brought in last minute to play like rhythm guitar, and Rod Argent was going to be the lead singer and nothing else. And they heard him play piano at like some place where they were setting up or whatever, and they happened to have a piano there, and they were all like, he played like Nut Rocker or something on the piano, and they're like, what? Wait, what? And they're like, you should play piano. He's like, no, I'm the lead singer. And they were like, okay. And then, to his credit, like the fact that a teenager was able to set their ego aside and do this, or maybe young 20s or whatever, but still, Rod, as they were packing up one day, Colin was putting his guitar away and singing a Ricky Williams song to himself. And Rod heard him and went up to him and was like, okay, change of plans. You're our lead singer. I'll play keys and sing harmonies with you, which obviously became,
yeah, of course,
that was the thing. But they were only doing cover songs. And so they were going into the studio. Like, they were doing well. They were getting screwed money-wise, but they, of course, because that's how things worked back in the 60s, it seems. But they were like playing larger and larger gigs, huge gigs. And finally somebody was like, all right, we got to record a record of this. And they were just doing covers. And somehow they came up with, well, maybe we should write some songs for this record. Okay, fine. So Rod Argent tells the story, and of course stories always have a way of evolving over history, but the version of the story that he tells today is that he needed to come up with an idea for a song, and there was this John Lee Hooker tune that had like almost a throwaway line in it that was something along the lines of there was something about her. And he's like, oh, I could tell a story with a song. And he's like, I love the Beatles and Ringo's broken drum beats. So I had him play like this broken drum beat, and I wanted the song to start out sparse and then the chorus to build into this huge, like, lush harmony and then come back down. The guy literally, his first song was She's Not There. Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, whatever. And he even acknowledged it. He's like, you only get the blissful ignorance of youth once in your life.
Yeah.
He's like, thankfully it worked out for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a good movie. Go see it. Yeah.
I've had that moment multiple times. I've always been a drummer, but the minute that I started bands and guitar players started coming to our house and leaving guitars at my house, I'm like, I want to learn how to play guitar, and I don't want to sit behind these drums anymore. And 2 different times I tried to join a band as a guitar player, and they were like, cool, yeah, this is going to work out great. And then I made the mistake of sitting behind the drums, and they're like, no, you're playing drums.
You're
like,
our drummer.
I want to know. I want to walk around and be cool on stage. Dang it.
Yeah. Well, that's why that's one of the things I love about the acoustic gigs that I do, where I have my made into a wearable cajon so I can walk around and be upright. It's singing when you're standing. So much easier. People have no idea how difficult it is to manage a column of air while you're sitting and also exerting yourself playing the drums.
Dude,
like,
I don't know what to do with my hands though. Like over Christmas, the president, CEO of some company, some private party we played was like, I want to play drums with your band, which we normally say not a chance, but this guy was writing our check and a very powerful man to be friends with. So we're like, all right.
Sure. Yeah.
Come to sound check, practice with us. We had him play Just a Friend by Biz Markie so easy that I could then take my wireless mic out front. And it was so awkward. I was just like, oh, what do I do? Do I stand here? Do I walk around? What do I do with my other hand? Man, what an art form to be a singer and to do stuff, you know?
Yes, and that is an important art form, because you are the focal point by default when you're the singer, right? And so you have to be visually engaging, not just your dulcet tones.
When I think of, I'm thinking of the best lead singer I've ever seen with only a singer, and I'm thinking about the worst lead singer I've ever seen. Best Chino Moreno of Deftones is like the equivalent of just what cool is, and you can't take your eyes off him on the stage.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of that is Aaron Lewis of Stained. I saw Stained back in like 2003, and it was like, I've never seen a more boring person in my entire life just stand there and just go, I'm singing. He didn't move. He just stood there. Didn't even move his arms. Didn't bob his head. That's a juxtaposition of
it is
singers for you.
But then I would throw in John Anderson of Yes into that, because he basically just stands there. He might move his hands around in his little flowery way, but he's like all of 5 feet tall or something, and yet he has that undescribable and also uncanny charisma of being John Anderson. And he is the one that when he's in the room, you can't take your eyes off of him. Right. So
you can make it happen, but it's
but
tough.
you got to have some magic in you already. Like, I don't think John learned how to do that. I think that's the essence of John Anderson. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But then there's people like Gary Sharon, who is like in terms of antics on stage, he's the best frontman that I've ever seen live, and I've had the pleasure of actually backing him up a couple times, and I clearly, like, there's no one that's going to beat that. Like, I don't have the bar set there, right?
Right.
Yeah,
how's everything going with your new band, man? I know things have settled in at this point. Like, you're a member, and gigs have been happening and rehearsals. Like, how's everything feeling still? You were pretty high on it when we started. Have you left the honeymoon stage, or is it still like
no? The honeymoon is expanding. And Tom Jarvis, who was on Gig Gab, he's our singer in Casual Gravity. He is fantastic on stage. There are many times where I am reminded of playing with Gary when I'm playing with Tom. So
nice.
And I mean that as a huge compliment. And what a pleasure it is to be on stage and not have to be the one worrying about, does the crowd have something to look at in this moment? There are times when I need to be the one to do that. Of course. But it's so nice to not be the point man on that, because I've been in bands where that's absolutely my concern, and there's not a whole lot I can do from behind the drums. So then it's, coaching during rehearsals and all those discussions, and Tom's got it down. Not that he wouldn't take feedback. Everybody in the band is super open to it, but like, he's got it down. I don't need to worry about it. It's a pleasure.
Nice.
Yep. We played on Saturday night, and it was a game-changing gig for us in a lot of ways. In fact, I think we will look back a year from now at this as a pivotal moment. We did a gig a couple weeks ago where we could not mix our own ears with the house sound system. But they said to us, they're like, but we have a split snake here. So if you want to bring your own mixer to mix your ears, that's fine. I was like, great. I've been wanting to try this out for years, and now you're just handing me this opportunity. So 100% yes. And we did that, and it went fairly well, but it wasn't perfect. And so I brought that same mixer to our next rehearsal and just got everybody dialed in with it, figured out where we wanted everything and all of that, and then obviously saved the scene. And I'm using the Mackie DL32S because that's the mixer I have, and it's fine. And I bought a split snake. I bought one from, oh man, I can never remember the brand name. ProRec. It's a 16-channel split snake. I bought it. They have like their own store, which is, they just use eBay for their store. It was $145 for a 16-channel passive split snake. So this was not a huge investment, Mike. And we used it for the gig on Saturday night. The club has its own house sound. Brought the split snake. I told everybody in the band, you bring enough cables to get yourself to the splitter, and then I'll take it from there. I just didn't want to wire up the entire stage.
Of course.
Right. And everybody in the band was like, great, tell me what to get and I'll do it. And I was like, okay, easy, done. And they just did it, which also, right, like, let us not lose sight of.
Stop right there. Wait, what? Everybody said, this is great. This is an awesome idea you have. Let's do it.
Let's try it. Exactly. Everybody was totally on board. And what a, like, yes. Yeah, it's like already
there's
this
always one person that's like, now hold on a second here. I don't think that's a good idea. There's always one person.
Not in this band, right? And so this was like freaking amazing. Like already, even if the experiment failed, the experiment was a resounding success, but the experiment did not fail. We got to the end of the first set and every member came up to me separately and was like, this is amazing. It's the best ears mix I've ever had. And I was having a conversation with the front of house guy there. And to be fair, he's the owner of the club. He is in between front of house guys. So he knows what he's doing with the system, but he is not a front of house engineer.
He's not a practicing engineer.
Exactly. He is practicing by necessity now.
Yes.
But 3 months ago they had an engineer, on staff at the club. My guess is 3 months from now they will have an engineer on staff at the club. So this is an interim scenario. Really nice guy, very easy to work with. And when I told him what we were doing, he understood it. He was grumbling a little bit because he's like, I got to kind of rewire things to make this work. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'll help you out, Bill. And I did, and it was all fine. Like we got there. But as as we were going through the process, I said something to him that shocked him. And I think there's a lot of people that don't necessarily realize this point. Because I said, well, there's three things really that make what we're doing so much better. The obvious one is that we get to set our stuff and save it, and it's the same from gig to gig because it's the same guy singing into the same microphone, like all of that. And I know that that's the obvious thing, but it's worth saying. And he's like, right. And I said, also, secondarily, but almost as important, is you can do whatever you want with gains out front, and that doesn't mess with us. And that, and he's like, yeah, I know when people are on ears, you got to be really careful with gains. I'm like, okay, this is good that you know that. Not everybody thinks about that. And then we have a yelling match when you blow out my freaking ears. And I said, but really the one that makes the most difference when you sort of take away those first two, which to me are table stakes, the one that makes the most difference is EQ. Most mixers these days don't allow for separate EQ on a channel for the mains versus an aux mix. Now, with some mixers, you could assign an input to two channels and have one only for monitors and one only for mains. Then you've got separate gains and all that stuff. But generally speaking, people don't do that, even if they can. So when somebody needs to change an EQ on a vocal or the kick drum or a guitar to make front of house sound right, which they absolutely need to do at times, it changes the EQ for the ears. And I think that's the thing that makes people have an awful time with ears mixes more than anything else. And when I said that to Bill the other night, he was like, wait, when I change EQ, it changes it for your ears? And I said, yes. Now he was asking it, he was being legitimate and candid about this. And he's like, wow, I never thought about that. He's like, but of course it does. And I'm like, right. And he's like, oh, that's got to be really weird for you on stage when the EQ just changes. And I was like, it is. I understand why it needs to happen. I mean, the most important people in the room are not the ones on stage. They're the ones out front, right? So I accept it, but it's not optimal. I don't desire it. And he's like, oh yeah. So I will be surprised. I'm sure there will be a gig where we have to sort of acquiesce and deal with using the house mixer for some reason or another. But our default now is to always just bring our mixer and split snake and mix our own ears.
It's been like 8-9 years that we've been doing that, and it's just like it's just so amazing to show up wherever you are and just automatically have your last saved mix in place, which is usually pretty close to where you're going to need it, and have full control without talking to anyone and without affecting the amount of time that soundcheck is taking to just have full control. Like we're very routine in this band. Like we do the same thing every day, every show. When we're ready to go, we line check everything, and then we play an entire song, the same song from start to finish that we've done for probably a decade. And then we do a verse chorus of 3 more songs just back to back to back, where each different person, lead singer, is doing it.
Yep.
And just in that amount of time, front of house has perfectly set everything they need, and we have perfectly set our monitors because we've heard every single thing being played through as it should be during a song, and then we're done. And then we walk off stage. It's no like, hey, time out. Can we get a little bit of put your fingers up if you need this, and now feedback, and like it's just amazing.
It really is. We first of all, we were ready 30 minutes before downbeat, which at this club has never happened before.
Oh, that's the worst is like just needing to go to the bathroom and get a beer, but you only have a minute before you're supposed to start. And you're just like,
we would routinely start 20 minutes after downbeat because not by any fault of our own, but just front of house needed time or whatever.
Yeah.
We plugged everything in. We helped build, get front of house plugged in. And then for some reason he disappeared. I mean, he's the owner of the club. So
he got
it right. And we were waiting for him. And then I said, wait a minute, we don't need to wait for him. Let's sound check. Let's line check, which we'd kind of already done, like as we were setting up, but let's line check and sound check our ears. And so we played a song. Now, I'm sure it didn't sound great to the patrons who were trickling into the club, but whatever. Like, they knew it was sound check, and so they weren't hearing vocals. They were hearing a weird mix.
They're not going to leave.
They're not going to leave at that point, right?
10 more minutes, 15 more minutes of this, they'll probably leave, but
right.
Not in this amount of time.
No, not in the minute and a half that we played the first verse and chorus of Man in a Box, because we don't want to put that song in our set because everybody plays it. And
do they?
But it seems like it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Around here anyway, it's a pretty common song. But for our band, it's perfect because we only have one lead singer. We have two harmony singers. And sometimes our lead singer, Tom, also plays guitar. And so it allows us to do everything we need. And by the time we're at the end of the first chorus, we're done. We've all sang enough to hear ourselves and each other, and we know what to listen for, just like you. It's mechanical.
And I
want
to step on stage for our first song and never, I don't even like to have my app up to adjust things because I don't want to worry about it. So like that sound check's so important, and nothing's gonna change no matter what.
No,
like
nothing.
Front of house is gonna do all the stuff, and it does not matter because you're just gonna be. This is how I am.
This is so how great. It is. It's so great, and we did that, and everybody was like, okay, like that was amazing. And then Bill came around and he was like, all right, you guys want to do a sound check? And the only problem was because we hadn't taken monitor mixes from him, all of the speakers on stage were still live. So when he unmuted the PA, it squealed like crazy. And he's like, what did you guys do? I'm like, wait, we may have done something. Like, this is new for us today, too. I don't think we did anything that could have caused that. But let's walk through the process. Time out. Yep. And I was like, wait, I can hear Tom on stage without my ears in. I know what the problem is. And so, we obviously, he just was like, hang on, okay, I'll mute those aux sends. And it was like, great, all set. I did get an interesting email. We talked about split snakes in a recent episode. And we talked about the folks at Seismic who also make, very affordable passive split snakes. And Mike Hart from Seismic shared a great phantom power tip for split setups. We talked about Dave Ratt's video where it said it's okay to have phantom power passing even if it's a passive split snake and you don't have isolation circuits, and that is true. There's always an asterisk, as Mike also shares, where he says, he's worried about that, phantom power on a modern mixer might eat some vintage 60s mixer handcrafted by like Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon or something, but in most of what we're going to experience in clubs these days, that's not going to be the issue. And he said this, he shared this tip. He says, you're right that one mixer providing phantom power is enough for the microphone. However, the issue is often how mixers handle phantom power. And he says if you're using two digital mixers, like say a Midas and a Behringer or a Mackie and a Behringer, and only one has phantom power enabled on a given channel, the other one might not receive any signal, even though the mic itself has plenty of power. And the fix, which is counterintuitive, but it works, enable phantom power on both mixers for every channel that needs it. it won't hurt anything, and it solves this common head scratcher. Well, electronics-wise, it seems like you're adding more amperage to a circuit that doesn't need it, but it's also not bad for it, and solves the problem so everybody gets to use the microphone. So wanted to share that tip.
We do that maybe this is common. I'm not exactly like a gear lord when it comes to that type of stuff, other than drums. But when we built our custom split, we reversed channel 32, which means it comes backwards from front of house.
Sure.
So front of house, actually, that's their talk back to us.
Yep.
Which is a really easy way to do it. It's
another good tip. Yes.
Yeah, because you want there's nothing worse than front of house, like hand signaling to tell you who's next. Just plug a mic in and talk to us in our in-ears.
Yep.
And so and we also added like ground lifts to every channel on the front of it, which is really nice if power is weird. Those are just some special little custom things we did.
I've thought about all of this. I figured, let me start with the $144 split snake.
Yes. No, ours was very expensive.
Proof of concept. And that you probably have, is it CBT or something that makes those? Yeah.
I think it is.
I think that's right. And
it's very heavy duty.
Yeah, and you'll pay, arguably 10 times what I paid for mine, and that's the right one. I think they call them the ear splitter, and I'm trying to remember the brand name, but I know who you have. I've seen it.
It's very custom too. We did like a 3-foot whip on the back side of it so that there's not excess things, and then we have a 50-foot whip with that big heavy duty thing that you put in and clamp on the front of it. So that way, no matter where we're at, everybody's got plenty of length for what they need. And it's overkill for sure, but I mean, you might as well have it.
No, it's the right thing. And my plan is that a year from now, it's CBI's ear splitters is what those are. And we'll put a link in the show notes, and you can get them all customized exactly like you're talking about. And it's the right way to go. And my hope is that a year from now with Casual, I will happily be acquiring one of these, and we'll be leveling that up too. So it's all fine. But
once you do that stuff, it's just like you can't go back. It's like going to in-ears for the first time, and then it's like going to splitter snakes. Like once you get these things in your life and you realize how easy it is, that's what 2025 for me is about feeling comfortable and no anxiety. And because last year, I had my second child midsummer, which is our busy season. I was worried about it the whole summer. We had these really bad routings. Like we had 4 shows in a row where we went from Western Iowa to the Twin Cities of Minnesota, back to Iowa, back to the Twin Cities. We just had all these routings where it just made me anxious looking towards it and a baby, and like our crew was different every show. So like we had to make sure we were there to help them do things, which what is the point of a crew?
Yeah.
And
if you gotta manage it or teach it every show, that's different. Yeah.
This year we've made some major changes where routing's great. We have the same 3 competent crew members that have been running our setup and our show for the last 4, 5, 6 months, and it vibes are good. We now show up about anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour before a sound check. We just show up and things are happening and everything's set up and everything's good and everyone's happy. It's just, that's my goal this year, is to just be come on, go back to the fun of this. Let's take all the anxiety out of everything. And I'm pretty excited at how the year's been going so far already.
That's awesome, man. I want to dig into how I can get to that point, and we'll do it on the show so that everybody can figure out their own version of that same path. The next thing that I want to do is talk about our 2 sponsors, because, well, you know how we say always be performing, right? Well, that starts before we even plug in, before we set up. It starts during load in. Enter our sponsor, Rock and Roller. These carts are absolute legends. They've been trusted since 1999, from global stadium tours to your first dive bar gig. And I mean, the all-black frame with the yellow wheels, you've definitely seen these. You've probably even envied them, especially your back has envied them, right? So what makes them awesome? Well, you get 8 carts in one. Dolly, hand truck, flatbed, you name it. It instantly transforms to match your gear. Guitars, racks, drums, of course, amps, all of it hauled in a single trip. It's lightweight, but built like a tank. Rugged, steel frame, foam-filled, never flat tires. I know. And caster brakes that actually work. You could roll this thing over gravel, cables, or a Rogue fan with zero drama. Please don't roll over fans. It was just for effect. When you're done, it folds flat in seconds. Fits in your trunk, your van, even that sketchy corner of your rehearsal space you swore you'd clean last year. Why does it smell like that over there? So if you're tired of juggling gear like a caffeinated octopus, grab yourself a rock and roller. And there's something for you. Head to rockandrollercart.com, rockandrollercart.com, and use code GIGGAB20, GIGGAB20, for 20% off any cart. And stop making 2 trips. Really, load in once, load out fast, always be performing. Rockandrollercart.com, GIGGAB20 for 20% off any cart. And my thanks to Rock and Roller for sponsoring this episode. And now we're done loading out. You're finished with everything. You look around and realize nobody brought cash. But everybody still owes the drummer $17 for dinner, right? That's why I like to use Cash App. It's fast, it's easy, and yes, it's actually safe. I signed up in just a few minutes. I've been using it for a long time, and now I can use it to settle up after gigs, split dinner, sell merch without juggling bills or counting quarters like it's 1997. Plus, Cash App's got your back. If something looks sketchy, it'll warn you before you hit send. It's like having a digital bouncer for your money. And yeah, you can add custom emojis and backgrounds to your payments, because why shouldn't rent money come with a UFO sticker? I mean, why not, right? So here's the deal. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real. Use our exclusive referral code, GIGGAB, G-I-G-G-A-B, all one word, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. So you sign up, you put GIGGAB in your profile, you send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. And my thanks to Cash App for sponsoring this episode. All right, Mike, I want to know how you guys leveled up your career with the Pork Tornadoes. And I'm going to start by saying I know what it wasn't.
What wasn't it?
It wasn't the name.
No.
If anybody,
we've been fighting against that for 17 years now.
If anyone thinks that naming your band is the most important part of leveling up, let me tell you, look at what Mike and the Pork Tornadoes have done.
We've lost gigs, man. We heard there's this festival in our town that's put on by this like Catholic organization, and we've heard that they actually didn't hire us because someone on their committee like typed in Pork Tornadoes and they found the Urban Dictionary of what Pork Tornadoes is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. In fact, I don't recommend that you go look at it on the internet, but that we lost gigs because of the name. So yeah, it's definitely not that.
Yeah. But I also know, history is very easy to quote Steve Jobs, it's easy to connect the dots going backwards, right? But going forward, you didn't have the plan that you had. And I know there was the unexpected success of the Tennessee Whiskey video, but it happened in a vacuum, right? You did stuff before that, and then that set you up to capitalize on the success of that video afterwards, right? And so I know that it was relentless, and it remains relentless hard work and dedication and putting the right people in the right jobs, not just on stage, but especially off stage, all of that. So what I would love to sort of learn from you is what were you doing at the beginning that started to lay this foundation for you to grow the band to this point and keep the band growing and maintaining at a high level?
this is the biggest question that I ever get on a personal level from musicians is like, how do we get to your point? And a lot of
that's
times,
not what I want to make it clear. That's not what I'm asking. I don't want to know how to copy you. I just want to know what you did.
Well, and that's
and
what
I want to learn
that's
from
what
it.
That's what they want to know. They want to know, like, what can I do to get to your level in my own way, right? And a lot of times when I tell them the answer, they're immediately like, no, okay, never mind. I was kind of hoping it was like, put yourself on TikTok and that's it. It's like, no, wait till you hear the list of things you need to do to potentially be able to get to this level.
So this is like, I can't believe I did this, because people come to me all the time with business ideas.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've had a little bit of success. Like I'm not
or
great
even
at building
podcasts, right? Hey, how do I start? How do I get my podcast to like get to the next level?
Oh no! What they come to me with is, I have an idea.
Make me $1 million.
Make
tomorrow.
me right $1 million tomorrow, and it's like, and basically what they asked, although I don't think anybody's ever used this term, is what magic fairy dust do I just tell me? What magic fairy dust do I need to sprinkle on my thing so that I can have it easy? And what I tell them is, there's no, like, okay, well, spend 5 years grinding it out, working 60 to 80 hours a week, and never give up on any day, no matter what happens, but learn from every mistake you make.
I'm going to stop you right there. No, thanks. I'm out of here.
That's it. It's like, there's no magic fairy dust. It's my bullheaded persistence.
Correct.
Okay. So, but still, there are, like, for people who haven't pressed stop yet, and hopefully we've weeded out most of us, right?
Well, and see, but I like weeding out those people, because they're never serious about what it takes. They want it, but they're like, it's just not going to work for me. And looking back, it's really hard to understand exactly what got us here. But I do know this for a fact. We never want this. This is our 17th year as a band. I've been in the band. I think I'll be hitting my 15 or 14 year anniversary of being in the band.
Okay.
And we've never once said, I want to play a sold out stadium show and have a crew, like have roadies and make X amount of dollars a year. We never once looked at that back in the day and said, here's our huge goal. Our goals.
I want to share something here, because this is very much similar to what we talk about on Business Brain, where we quote the Dilbert author Scott Adams, and he said this long before he got canceled. He writes some great business books, even though you might now know that you don't like the guy if that's your thing. He said goals are for losers, and he's right in the sense of
course
of making statements like that. Systems are where it's at. And when you put the system together, the goals things that other people see as goals just become the side effects of having the system running the right way.
Yeah, it's small moves, right? Remember that movie Contact? Small moves, Ellie, small moves. Like you can't be a band right now, a cover band that just started, and go, I'm going to sell out a 2,000 person venue in my hometown. You can't. That's too broad. You just cannot do that. And we never set out to do that. We just made these really, I do like goals, but I like them to be achievable in anything you do in life.
Yeah. The point of goals are for losers to me is if you set a goal and that's the only thing you're focused on, as opposed to
can't obtain.
You're
a failure, right? Like if you can't obtain it, you're a failure.
Or worse, you do obtain it. Because when that happens, and I have done this, you set some lofty goal, you work really hard, that is the focal point. When you get there, momentum stops, because you were excited about the goal.
The journey of the goal was way more important than the goal.
And the systems that got you to that, it's just like when if you're doing this, if you're working the system right and tweaking the system and doing all the things that you need to do to make it the right system, it's never one thing and you leave it alone, or rarely. Then the goal happens and you're like, great, I'm good. Now we're still going here. Otherwise somebody else is moving faster than you. So sorry to interrupt you.
But no, you're absolutely right. We just always had these small things that we wanted to accomplish. And to me, still, to this day, the show that we are playing and the people that are in front of us at that show, whether there's 100 people at a private party or whether there is 10,000 people at a Ragbri headline show, they are the most important people in the world, and we are playing this show as if it were the last show we will ever play. It does not matter what show's coming next or what show we did before. And I think that has always translated, that people knew that if they came to see us, they were going to get everything we had, and they were going to have the time of their life, which only makes people want to see you again, right? You know, it's these small moments of time, the time spent befriending people and talking to them before or after the show, these moments where you can create those super fans. I think you had in a couple episodes ago of people that will like everything you put on social media and will buy your merch and will share to the heavens your band. Creating those moments is one of the most important things, because then you can continue down a path, right? You can move forward and say, okay, well, we were in this town last time. We had 100 people there, but every single person there is going to bring 4 of their friends next time we come back. That cannot be understated how important it is to, you know, we get in these arguments all the time of the club should be promoting our show, not us. We're the entertainment. It's like, the minute you can get out of that mindset and go, yeah, it'd be great if the club promoted it, but
of course
we'll do our part, because anybody that shows up is going to become a super fan of ours. I can guarantee it. So we need to make sure they're there. And then when we come back, we're going to expand that times 4 and have that many more people. Those are, again, we never had a goal. Our goal was always to just make the best possible show for those people in that moment in time. And that will exponentially grow your brand and your band and allow you opportunities that you've never dreamed of over time, right? It's never
over time. Over time. Yeah.
We are not a tribute band. We're not a genre band where if me and you started a Van Halen tribute band tomorrow, we could book a show and have 200 people show up for our first show because they're like, Van Halen.
Van Halen. Right. Exactly. Right. Yes.
When you're in a variety band, which by the way, I do think is coming back around again, more so than tributes.
Totally agree.
It's a grind, guys. It is an absolute grind, but if you're doing it right, that it's gonna pay off for you. It's persistence. It's never giving up. And I cannot understate this to you. The probably number one most important reason why the Pork Tornadoes are who we are is because we got the right 4 people in place in this band. Not talent, like, dude,
no.
Of course, we all are really good at what we do. Mason's one of the best. Like, people remember his vocals it's the reason Tennessee Whiskey took off. It's his vocals. But if he did not have the mentality needed to be in this band and to work as hard as he does, if he was just a diva that could sing well, this wouldn't have worked. If we were not close-knit 4 buddies that truly care about where the band's going, but also where each other's lives are going, then this does not work. And you see so many times people are like, we got this one guy, but he's like the original member, so we feel bad. He sucks at his instrument, but we don't want to kick him out. You have to kick him out. If you want to make it to the next level, you got to have the right people in place, or else it's not going to happen. And we just got lucky. We didn't have auditions to find the people. We just somehow got lucky. But if we didn't have the right person in this band now, we would have to find them, or else we're going back down. We've stopped peaking at that point, you know?
No, it's interesting. I didn't realize why I was asking you this question now. And we've known each other for years, and I've known of your success. And as I said before, I understand that in general, success takes the not fun stuff, right, to make happen. I know this. My life is an example of this. And I don't say that I don't recommend it. Let me put it that way.
No. You want to be the Pork Tornadoes? I don't recommend it.
I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. People are like, oh, you have a great life. It's like, I mean, yes. Yes. I lead a charmed life. I try not to downplay that, but still, like, it's not all roses.
It never will be.
And it never will be. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn along the way. Yep. But the reason I'm realizing now that this moment in time is why I chose to ask you this, or is when I chose to ask you this, is because with Casual Gravity, I am in that scenario with the right 4 guys.
You were the guy that came in.
I was
to complete the circle.
To complete the circle, but not only do I recognize it, but everyone in the band recognizes it, and it's everyone has expressed it without pressure to have expressed it. If that makes sense, like everyone has expressed this individually to the group, without it being like that awkward, teenage moment where your girlfriend says, "I love you," and you're like, "Cool." Like that.
Right
it's
back
not
at you, bro.
Right back at you, bro. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It like everyone is like, this is pretty good. And we're all good at what we do. I wouldn't say anybody in the band is a virtuoso at their instrument, but everybody's very capable, very competent. We work well as a unit together, and that on stage and off. And it's like, okay, wait, there's a formula here. It's not the same formula as what you did, but it's a formula. And if I can just like glean a couple of the things, but it really, what you're telling me is it's just doing it all. Now, I will say I've watched you, Mike Schulte, take 2 different creative outlets and turn them into successful going concerns at businesses. Pork Tornadoes being one, Confused Breakfast being another. Your superpower, if I think I have this right, but please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you are relentless at creating content and putting out content on social media.
Yeah, and full well knowing, like, you have to understand your place in things, right? Like, I will forever be the most mediocre drummer of all time, and I am a mediocre podcaster. I am not the guy that people think of when they're like, best drummer
sure,
I'm not even
okay,
the best
sure.
drummer in our town, let alone
right,
let alone
right,
our state,
yeah.
and I never will be. But plug me into something like a band that's really good, like the Pork Tornadoes, or plug me into a podcast idea that's like, this could be a good idea, and we got these other guys that kind of know what they're talking about. I'm the guy that is going to take that and go, I got you. I'm the engine pushing. I'm the tugboat behind, like, pushing everybody forward and going, let's go, let's do this. Because, man, like, I love creation, and I love the life that I get to have, and the shows I've gotten to play, and the podcast stuff I gotten to do. I love it so much that I don't want it to end. So I just keep going, like, come on, what's the next thing? And that's another thing I wanted to point out to you, that if you do set a goal, let's say your band's goal is to play your town's festival thing, like to be the
sure.
headliner. And let's say you work for that for 2 years and you finally get there. Don't enjoy that moment, because that is so huge that you got there. But don't be like, cool, we did it. Like, we've reached our pinnacle. This is our pinnacle. We're there, and now we are where we've always wanted to be.
Now we get to crest the hill and roll down. Yep.
Because the minute you decide that's your pinnacle, and then you stop doing everything you did to get to that point, you're going to just go. You're going to go down the hill.
You just articulated the goals are for losers problem.
There you go.
That's it. That's it. Yep.
And it's okay to have that goal. But then what has happened with Pork Tornadoes and with Confused Breakfast is, when we've gotten to that easily obtainable goal, we've said, what's next? What's the next one? Okay, So we headlined that town festival. Now we want to do it again next year, but we want to set the attendance record. And so we're gonna blow this out of the way. And then we want to now go to that town where we're at, and we want to get into this venue that we've never been able to get into. And then we want to sell out that venue. There are these easily obtainable goals that you never can be complacent on, because like, come on, like we want this, and we all want this, and we all want to do this thing. And that's the best advice I can give to anyone is to just be relentless and be consistent and never stop growing. Because once you do, I think that's kind of it for you. I've seen it happen a million times. Hits that thing, and they're like, we did it. And then they just went, they just kind of fell out. And that's fine if that's what you want. But if you truthfully want to do the next level stuff, like, you just cannot ever stop. You just cannot stop.
Yes. Okay. So I think what you just said there is a really interesting thing. Not worrying about the next level as much as being sure you maintain a next level mindset.
Yeah.
Because once you hit whatever the next level is, it's okay. This is great success in that we knew what the next level was, and we figured out how to get here. Now we know what the next level above this is. Let's figure out how to get there. So it's maintaining that next level mindset and never giving up on that. I loved your consistently relentless comment. That's, it's bullheaded persistence, right?
Yeah, and there are sacrifices you're going to have to make if you play in your hometown once a month and you've been doing it for 3 years and you want to get
that.
Yeah, and let's say your next goal is to be able to sell tickets and hit this really nice theater you got. You're going to have to give up a steady paycheck of 1 gig a month to go to like 3 times a year, 2 times a year, 1 time a year. You're going to have to give up that easy paycheck to gamble on yourself being able to do something different. And now you got to start traveling out of town because we want to fill those dates we used to play in town. So now we got to go 3 hours that way and start. Nobody's going to hand it to you. In fact, it's kind of, I don't know how it is in your world, and I don't know how it is in our audience's world, but we've very badly created a market in Cedar Rapids, Iowa of no covers. Bands play, like, you can see bands for free anywhere you want to go. There's no cover charges.
Oh, no cover charge. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yeah,
no cover charge.
I understand.
So the general public is going, well, I want to see live music. I can go to any of these bars and I'll be able to see a band play.
Sure.
But if all of a sudden they get stopped at the door and somebody's like $5, they're like, $5?
Yeah.
What?
Interesting.
$5 for a band to play for 4 hours? This is ridiculous. And they'll leave.
Interesting.
It didn't used to be that way. It used to be very cover charge heavy. Things change. That's a whole other subject. But
it is. Yeah.
But here's where I've noticed it. There's a band that's fantastic in our area, and they played a show a couple hours away from us, where one of them has their like hometown. They're from there, and they played a free show. They had 550 people show up to this free venue show that they played. Just blew it out of the water. Wild, everybody's drinking, and free show. Meaning the audience didn't have to pay a
didn't
charge.
Pay a ticket. Yeah, there was no charge. Yeah.
So they've got 550 people that saw them play 4 months ago that are friends with the band, that we had them open up for us at a $20 ticket show, huge production.
Sure.
They brought 7 people out of those 550 people.
Wow.
And not to say they didn't try, because they advertised like crazy, and they're well, this is going to be so fun. And I talked to the guitar player afterwards. He kind of messaged a bunch of people and said, hey, why didn't you come? They're like, oh, we weren't going to pay $20 to see you. But let us know next time you're coming back to said venue and it's a free show. We'll be there. I mean, it's really hard to work to get people to pay money to see you. I don't know how to do it, but it's hard.
I don't know how to do that either, other than be an original band. that markets itself well, like all these other table stakes that we've glossed right on over. But like, it's way easier for Bitter Pill to sell out a show with $35 or $40 tickets than it would be for Casual Gravity today to sell out a show with probably $20, even $15 tickets, right? And to be fair, our market here supports cover charges. It's not everywhere, but it's in a lot of places. So I think even if like the place we played on Saturday night, I don't know, that place is a little different, but in general, I think if somebody showed up and there was a $10 cover, they'd be like, okay, great, that's fine, like whatever, but it's a $40 cover to come see Casual Gravity. I don't see that working at all, and yet Bitter Pill. Every year we sell out a gig in Portsmouth for, I think it's $40 or maybe $45 tickets, and it's fine. But we don't oversaturate the market. Like all of the things you just said are almost accidentally part of the Bitter Pill schedule because we can't play as often as we might otherwise do just because of everybody's schedules and sort of our choice as a band. But now it's becoming a choice of like, we pick and choose. Like we've gotten a little bit too picky and choosy with our gigs.
Yeah.
And there's been some arguments about that, but the net effect of it is more demand. And so maybe there's something, maybe we should embrace this path that we're on with regards to that. So.
If you had to ask me how to get people to pay money to see your band, number one, it's scarcity.
Yes.
Number one, it's make it be like, they haven't been here in 6 months, and if I don't see them tonight, I won't see them for another 6 months. And then it's the idea of creating an event. You can't just have the mindset of we're the entertainment for the people that are in this bar. You cannot have that mindset. You have to create a special event reason for them to be like, we got to go see them because they're doing this thing. It's a Halloween party, or they're doing this thing where they're doing an entire set of Alice in Chains. Like they never done that. We got to go.
We got to go see this.
And then beyond that, it's just the idea that you're always putting new songs in. You're always updating your production. You're always changing things, making things feel different. Because we fell into that for a while where we were kind of playing the same set and not adding any new songs, and you start to hear to be like, and you don't think about it, but you start to hear it. And so, making a conscious choice to make sure every show's different and production's different and adding new things and change. I just went through and changed the majority of the videos in our video wall because that's
a huge thing.
Starts to get,
it gets a little old.
I've seen this.
I remember seeing Rush when they would tour, like, this is in the 80s and early 90s or whatever. And if I was lucky, I would see them twice on a tour, right? Because that's how touring bands are. Scarcity is like, all of these things are not new concepts to the industry, folks. And so I was lucky if I could see them twice. But after 3 years, it was like, we're going to see the same video for this or whatever. And it's like, and then 20 years later, they brought that video back and it was like, oh my gosh, that's the marathon video from the first tour. They did it. They haven't done this full video since then. And it was an exciting thing. But if they had, they understood that that live music is a visual art, right? And so there's that. All right, this is great. I know we're getting to the end of our time together here. And there is one little thing in the mailbag that I want to address. But you have given... in the last 30 minutes here, you've given the sort of overall, here's the mindset you need to have to do this. And so I want to revisit this in 4 to 6 weeks or something. And we'll do this routinely. I want to dig into specific elements, like what are you doing for your video wall? How are you doing social media? We've already talked a little bit, you and I, about on the show here about Facebook advertising and that kind of thing. But I want to kind of pick, now that we've laid this foundation, I want to pick some specific elements and just learn what you've learned about what succeeds and fails with these kinds of things, because you've made, I always call mistakes tuition, right? And it's because that's how I justify paying for them. But you've on this show we like to share our mistakes so that other people can. We'll all probably make the same mistakes because we have to learn by ourselves. It's hard for us to learn from others, but because that's the bullheaded persistence part of it. But so thank you. This is amazing.
Of course.
I do want to share, because in the last episode that I did, the last solo episode I did a few weeks ago, I was sharing a microphone that I had put in using the May monorail inside of my Gretsch kick drum, and I used a squeaky kick drum pedal, which I will play again here because it's super easy to hear. I think if I can do this. You hear that squeaky little thing, and that boundary mic sounds amazing. Anyway, but I asked people to send in what their best guess was on that pedal, and I promised I would give away T-shirts, Gig Gab T-shirts, which still aren't available for purchase. But I'm gonna fix that, and I will. But and I want to send one of these to you, Mike, too. But so no one got it right. This pedal was, and I kind of knew that no one would get it right.
Of course.
Yeah, because when I realized what it was like, nobody's going to guess this. Everybody's going to guess that it's a Ludwig Speed King, which is the obvious guess because that's what a Speed King sounds like. The Speed King had a cousin that was developed for similar reasons at a similar time, and it was the Camco pedals. The one that and that's what you heard. The one that you heard is the Camco by Tama pedal. Because Tama bought the Camco brand when Camco was going under, and that's when I bought that Camco pedal. But it's the same chain drive pedal. The Speed King is all an internal design, which I have one of those, and if anybody knows how to get the rust out of the screws so I can adjust it, I would love to know how to do that. But so feedback at giggabpodcast.com. But it was a Camco pedal, but I said if you entertain me with your responses, that's also a way to win, because I knew I had set everyone up for failure otherwise. Yep. And so Rob Henshaw of the Salty Strings was one of them. Drew McGarity, longtime listener, was another one. And then Steve Graves was the third winner here, and they will all be getting Gig Gab T-shirts in their choice of black or Gig Gab purple, and so you get to pick. So, but Steve also said, thanks for the great tip on setting up an overhead mic just for your in-ears. It has been a game changer for me, and I agree with this. That's why I shared the tip. And I recently bought I started thinking about optimizing my setup, and on Saturday night's gig, I did this for the first time. I thought, I always have a boom arm over with my vocal mic. I just need to put a clamp on there and put the overhead there, because the overhead, in most clubs that we're currently playing, we don't need stereo overheads. Like all that imaging doesn't matter. The club often isn't even going to use the overhead, or if they do, they're just peppering it in for cymbals. So placement of it isn't super important, especially if it's the right overhead. I'm using the Earthworks SR20 Gen 2, and I just bought a little clamp. I'll put a link in the show notes, and now I have one mic stand that's already clamped onto my rack. It's all my vocal mic stand's part of it. I put that up and we're good to go. So thank you for asking about that, Steve. I will put that link in the show notes. Mike, I know you need to get going here, and I appreciate your time, my friend.
My bag of peas is warm now. I got to get a new bag.
You got to get a new bag.
Yep,
that's right.
Rotate them. I got 2 in rotation right now.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out. Thanks, everybody, for listening and for sending in all your feedback and everything. And Mike, if you would do the honors, it would be my honor.
You must always be performing. Must always.
Must always.
Yeah.
Always.
Have to be.
You got to be. It's table stakes, folks. Later.